Hey, how's it going, everybody? I do want to take a look at the 28th. I just started getting, I don't know, a gut feeling. And yeah, this always happens before I get to the date where I'm thinking it's going to happen. And these soccer games, the time runs out, but then they keep going. They're like, oh, this is extra time that the referees didn't you see that 12:41? That was interesting that it was 122 also. You see the 124 and the 241 and the 12:41 p.m. And when we clicked it, it was 122. When my son's wife had her extremely horrible incident where she passed away 2 days later, it was day 241 with 124 left, 24 and 24 in both numbers. It was 17 days away from when Sirius the Dog Star rose. If we were to look at day 224 when Sirius rose plus 17, it's day 241. If you add 121 days for Antichrist to that, you get day 362. If you go back to when Sirius the Dog Star rose, day 224, and you add 138 for Donald Trump and Gematria, you get day 362. If you look at my number, 7 times 6 times 1961, you get 8, 2, 362. Remember, 36 is the triangular number of 666, and 8 is the triangular number of 36. So it's like 8 TO 36 TO 666. He would rise on day 364. Now his number ends in 64. 6 times 14 times 1946, 163464. Now, that date of December 28th was my first date with Candy. It's also Mayday's husband's birthday. Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. And because Mayday is so prevalent in their world, we track her. Plus, she had a very fascinating mathematical anomaly with my stepdaughter, where the amount of days old they were crossed on the exact same day with the exact amount of days apart they are from me. Stepdaughter and I are 13405 days apart. Mayday and I 8700 even. Well, stepdaughter turned 8700 even on that day that Mayday turned 13405. That was on they crisscrossed, and that was on the 12th of January this year. Super fascinating anomaly. You can search it yourself. It's May 1st, 1985 and March 19th, 1998. And my birthday is July 6, 1961. So it was 350. It was day, there was, so if you say 362 minus the 12, be 348 days away from that. And the thing about iPet Goat, it does seem to be New Year's centric because of the apple and the apple's association with New Year's Eve at the Big Apple. But we looked up an apple, and it's supposed to be the fruit for New Year's. Looked that up the other day. Apple is a fruit for New Year's Eve. Says Chinese New Year gift. That's interesting. Chinese people believe that one can live a peaceful and harmonious life by eating apples. They also like to buy a box of apples as Chinese New Year gift for their relative and friends. And see, that's Year of the Rabbit and I Pet Goat. Now that's later on in January, and it's something for us to look at. But we just searched it the other day. What are the fruit of New Year's Eve? Lucky fruits for New Year's. Hang on, I'll find what I found the other day.
Common round fruit. The sold best crop when New Year comes are apples for peace and harmony, grapes for money, pineapples for good fortune, and oranges for the gift of gold.
It's just not coming up. Apples are one of the most common fruits of it. There are several different varieties of apples to choose from. Which do you pick? Lucky fruits for New Year's. I don't know. It was right there for us the other day, but that's the AI for you. The AI loves to mess with us, so we're not going to let it do it. But we saw it the other day. And it's just very interesting. It's just something to look at. Now, remember that midpoint day where Sirius the Dog Star rose, and it was a midpoint of the previous and future total lunar eclipse and the previous and future total solar eclipse. And my son got married to his wife the day after the total solar eclipse. And after the total solar eclipse was when I told my wife I wanted a divorce. That eclipse was on August 1st. And by the way, my wife and his wife were 60 days apart, both born in 1973. Daughters, we have stepdaughters around the same age. So it's very, the Lord. So nothing happened in the world that day. We were the only YouTube site, internet site, website, anything, anywhere that was discussing the midpoint of two total lunars and two total solars occurring on the same day. And the midpoint were 88 days in both directions for the total lunars and 251 days in both directions for the total solars. One, my son got married the day after, remember. The next would be the potential abomination of desolation if he was to go down this year. Nothing occurred in the world on that day that Sirius rose and was a midpoint of two total lunars and two total solars, except all of these emails, August 12th on. They began August 11th, as you can see at the bottom. My son and I had a situation, and then all the next day on the 12th, that day of the midpoint in Sirius rising, look at all those emails. All of that. All of that. It fills a whole page. It was a very, very ugly day. And 17 days later, she was on life support. 19 days later, they had pulled the plug. Very unfortunate. One of the saddest days in my life, the saddest day in my son's life. And it's compounded for me as being one of the saddest days because of what it did to my son. But my son's been doing well, and I'm very thankful for that. So, but I look at that, of course, as an act of the Lord, because the Lord's ordained the end from the beginning. There's nothing that takes place, good, bad, evil. The Lord said, I create evil, I create darkness. I, the Lord, do all these things. Isaiah 45:7. And he created the evil for the day of evil, Proverbs 16:4, which is the abomination of desolation. You have to have the evil to bring a sheep tribulation, to bring the church tribulation. We all through much tribulation enter the kingdom. The great tribulation is to cleanse the church. We can't walk around and go, well, I know God's going to protect me. Well, he didn't protect himself. He died on a cross. He didn't protect the apostles. They were all murdered, except maybe for John, possibly. That's a little ambiguous. Paul was eventually jailed. I think he died in jail. So you have to be ready for that kind of stuff. And the church that's out there, who I believe, again, is involved in every type of world religion you can imagine. And the same percentage, I believe, will come out of fake Christianity just as much as a Middle Eastern or Far Eastern religion or atheism. So they're all lost. So they need the Great Trib. That's what the Great Trib is for, is to purge the church. The Lord has 99.99999% of the church in a slumber, asleep, celebrating Christmas, believing in free will, or part of another world religion. On purpose, so he could have the Great Tribulation. That's the job of the Antichrist. So the Lord ordained this moment that began with my involvement. I mean, my involvement was off and on all the way through. It was the most trying time I've had, let's just say, family wise, over a span of time since that total solar eclipse to that midpoint, which was 251 days. And in their case, since they got married the day after, but it really was the 12th of December when everything kicked in. And December 12th, when it all kicked in, it was a horrible experience. Something happened that day from her to me that threw me into a tailspin. And we did not know about the issues. And I don't put this channel on my Facebook or any of my social media. This is just for y'all who are all over the world, all over the United States. But if you notice, that incident took place 243 days to the midpoint when it began, when the downward spiral began. And she had attempted what she did do on the 29th. She had attempted it times before, but we didn't know about that. So I never knew what I was dealing with from that aspect. And neither did my son or his mother. But notice that 243 days, that's the length of No Time to Die, 243:24. 2 hours, 43 minutes, 24 seconds on the 4K. And so when you run that now to the 29th, 260, 8 months, 7 days, 37:44 in the minutes, and Earl's number is 37:044. I don't know. I'm just really studying that because of the way that it hits with when she had her unfortunate moment. It would be 121 days and then 123 days on the rising. And 123 is what popped up, if you remember when we clicked it. When we clicked the time, I said, did you also notice the 123? It was 12:41:23 because there was, 122, because there was 122 days left in the year. So let's go to it one more time. August. This time let's go 31st. What am I doing? December 28th. Now let's go August 31st to December 28th. It's 119 days for Donald. And if you go to when the midpoint was, that's when they officially took her off life support. But if you go back to the midpoint in Sirius rising, it's 138. Then when he would rise, it would be on New Year's Eve. That's an even 140 days. And don't, we know how big that number 40 is. Now, if you look at the seconds, it says 2096. That's Eve in Strong's Concordance, 2096 in the New Testament. It's 3360 hours. And on the 28th, when he would have went down, 12 times 28 is 336. And it's 3360 hours on the day he would rise. 4 months and 18 days. 18, of course, is their 6 plus 6 plus 6. And we know how significant the number 40 is when God's doing his work. When God's doing his work, 40 years wandering in the desert. Jesus fasted 40 days. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights. There would be 111 days left until the abomination of desolation. And 9/11 occurred on day 254 with 111 left in the year. And him rising on New Year's gives it more of that flavor. That by New Year's Eve, very sad. And they just got it in time for 2022. Driving me crazy every step of the way. Now, I will tell you this too, on the day he would go down, the 86ing of the 88. I would be 22, 455 days old. What have I been showing you forever and a day? Second wife and I's combined numbers, she's 55244. She's 10 times 28 times 1973. Times my number, 7 times 6 times 1961 is 82362. And we've shown you many times Trump's number 45 and Antichrist and Strong's Concordance of the next 3 digits, 500. So the first 5 digits of our combined number, and don't forget her number times this year, 55244 times this year is 1117, the deadly wound Bible verse. Now you see the 336. Twelve times 28 is 336. What this removes, though, is how Trump turns that age on New Year's Eve. There's nothing about our combined number then that's a hit. That's okay. You do get 2001 in our combined number times the year, which of course has that mathematical anomaly that I've shown you 1,000 times. That goes to infinity. And it ends in 216. And yes, he turns that many days old on New Year's Eve, which is still in play. When I met her, there was a 1227 in our combined year, which would be the eve of the event. There are no 1228s. Let's go back and remember, she and I have that crazy thing times his year that he was born. There's an 88 on both sides. There's a 1231 right smack dab in the middle of that, which 1231 is New Year's Eve. I mean, it's getting pretty weird, isn't it? But they don't include zeros. So 1230 is in the middle, well, in the exact middle with 5 on each side. So I've got to look really strongly at the 28th. Let's go back to what I was telling you about me. That's she and I's combined number, 455. Well, that's our divorce date, 22. That's in front of it. Remember Groundhog Day? I've been reliving it ever since, just like the movie. And he became a perfected man, reliving the same day over and over. And I've been reliving the divorce. And the Lord, since that divorce, has turned me and shaped me. He started bringing me into the truth 2 years later in 2012, and showed me the truth in his word in 2017 as far as election predestination. I'd already known that hell wasn't eternal torment by that time, and that we didn't live on a spinning ball, but I still believed in free will until the spring of 2017. So that 22455 represents the 86ing of the 88. And that's how many days old I'll be. Trump will be 279 for Daniel 927, 56 when we had Super Bowl 56. It'll be the Super Bowl, all right. How many days is that date from the Super Bowl? $318. 6 plus 6 plus 6, or Revelation 13:18. 1318. Well, that would make everything 8 days away, wouldn't it? All right. Let's look and see if we got any comments. The movie Apocalypto is 138 minutes long. December 8th, 2006. 586 4. And of course, 586 was the year BC when Israel was taken captive. If you go to the potential rising day from Apocalypto, it's exactly 838 weeks and 586 6, and it's 5866 days. one more time from The Dark Knight Rises, just for giggles. We've been through The Dark Knight Rises a million times. 3815. The Dark Knight on the 18th on the year 08. And let's run No Time to Die to the 30th. And we will look at Point Break. If I'm not mistaken, that came up big. I still like the 22nd now. I mean, there's so much stuff that really connected. 448 on the rising day. It's 1 year, 2 months, 22 days for 1, 2, 2, 2. Holy cow. It's 14 months, 22 days. It's Acts 14:22. We all through much tribulation enter the kingdom. And him rising opens the book of Revelation, which leads to the great trib. And again, 111 days out. The offing day would be 113 days out from the abomination of desolation. 113. But again, 138 from when Sirius rose to the staged event, 138 days. 138 for Donald Trump. 140 for the opening of the book of Revelation. There's that 40, which is very biblical. As it's 111. Oh, man, I don't know anymore. I just don't. I mean, I like the 22nd rising on the 24th on Christmas Eve. But let's just say I don't hate him going down on the 28th. I'm 22, 455. That's the anniversary of our first date in 2005. That would be 17 years to the day. We met on October 22nd when my son turned 22. All right. I love y'all very much. Oh, one more thing we need to look at. Let's look at the grid. Stepdaughter is 9050 on that day. Remember, her number has the 138, the 88, and the 86 all in it. I have 3 personal items for the 28th. And 1 for the 30th. Oh, wow. Trump and I's combined number has the 22196. I turned that many days old. So then you start progressing 37 progressions. It lands on that day. Look at this. Lily, I Pet Goat 2. Lily James' birthday. Remember, I equated her. She started popping really in big time. My graduation. But Tracy McGrady Sr., whose number is 156, which is 9/11 is the 156 prime number, and his number is 15688. Remember, 9/11 was about rising because it's the 7th month. So it was really not 9/11, it was 7/11. Reverse it to 11/7, which is how they write the date in most countries. And you have your rising date. It's his birthday progression. Don't forget his that 156 divides evenly by 37. The December 28th is the person I had a relationship with all during 1988. It's her birthday. And we were definitely together on October 2nd, 1988. Because we were together that whole year. 2/3 of the year before. Off and on the year after. Then it ended in the spring of 1990. Her birthday lands right on it. If we look at the grid, it's the inauguration of George H. Walker Bush on the 28th, which is what Donnie Darko was all about, that election. Apollo 1 fire, death, disaster, PSYOP 127, 1967. Take Shelter, release date. Its second release date. Donnie Darko director's cut. And the Princess Diana event, including both dates. What would land on the 28th? October 2nd, 1988 does. So does Election Day, 11/8, 1988, the semi-baked theme of Donnie Darko. Funeral for a Friend, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, release date. 28 days later, United Kingdom, Ireland. Brokeback Mountain, Venice. Penumbral Lunar, 1998. Jet 1109, leaving Afghanistan, which was a fake balloon. World War Z, number 2, and the movie 7, release date. Partial Lunar, 1988. On the Rising Day, October 26, 1985, is when they first went 88 miles per hour, and it was on a card tag in James Bond movie for Her Eyes Only. So we're going 88 miles per hour on the 30th. Trump announces Jerusalem as capital, progresses to the Rising Day. Zero Dark 30. Revelation 12 event in the sky on 9/23/2017. Nancy Pelosi's birthday, annular solar 1979. New Year's Day 2000, the new millennium. Connects to the 30th. Total solar eclipse, April 20th, 2023. Abomination of Desolation Day, backwards cipher. It's a 37 progression. Why? Because it's 111 days. 37 plus 37 is 74, plus 37 is 111. And Mamma Mia, here we go again, which remember we did the video. It's all about 9/11. Here we go again. All 3 actors, all 3 men in that movie were from all the end times apocalyptic movies. 007 was represented. Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was represented. And Kingsman Golden Circle was all represented. If you include both dates, this is what the Rising Day is also, the Great Conjunction. Blood Moon Total Lunar 2014, Fahrenheit 9/11 premiere, November 19th. Dog Days Are Over, Florence and the Machine release date, Birdman release date, A Girl Cut in Two release date, 1961, Annular Solar Eclipse, August 11th, 1961, Condo Collapse, June 24th, 2021. All right. As it's 1:19 p.m. Sure it'll be 1:20 before we sign off. I don't time these out. Make sure you look for the Zoom number. If I'm correct, all that did, I don't know if it bought me any more time. I always feel like they'll come get me before it happens. But I think that's just me being paranoid. But it gives us an extra 6 days, doesn't it? Of quote unquote normalcy. If it's even this year. But hey, 88022, 1988 to 2022. So anything else I could think of? We'll get into stuff later. We got time. Love you.